Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. So things are definitely getting a lot more busy across the tropics, and kind of an area you wouldn't really expect this time of the year, really early on in the season, to be looking this far out into the tropics. We now have Tropical Storm Bret. And then we also have this other area, Invest 93. We'll quickly talk about this one area because there's a high chance that we could see this developing over the next couple of days. Now, as you look at that satellite imagery, it does look like maybe some dry air is affecting this system. We had a big buildup of convection through the overnight hours. Then this morning started to see a lot of that dying off, but it's still a fairly disorganized system. It's moving through an area that conditions are still fairly conducive. Other than that dry air, we've got warm water, we have low wind shear, so it's conducive that we could see more development as we go through the next few days, and that's why they're putting up to about an 80% chance over the next 7 days that this system will develop. So here's another view with that dry Saharan air kind of laid on there as well. So here is Tropical Storm Bret, a little bit of wind shear, maybe hampering this system as well. And then you can see what maybe some of that dry air is doing to that Invest. So at this point, it looks like it's struggling a bit, but we'll just continue to watch to see if this kind of regains some of that intensity. Here is another view of Bret. Now, through the morning hours, once the sun's come up, we can get those visible satellite images, and we can start to get a little better idea of what's going on in the center of this storm. The center right through here, so you can see it is exposed. It does have some convection wrapped around it, but it does look like maybe some of the wind shear that is just to the north of this system, along with some of that dry air, may be affecting this system. And that's really a big key to this forecast as we go through the coming days is how does it handle some of the wind shear, and then as it works its way further to the west, it looks like it's going to really start to encounter a lot more wind shear, and that may eventually be the demise of this system. Now, yesterday, as this became a tropical storm, the forecast was really suggesting that this was going to ramp up in intensity, could briefly become a hurricane as it worked its way into the Caribbean, and then it would start to encounter some of that stronger wind shear. Now, at this point, it looks like that wind shear is going to play a bit more of a factor in the short term as well. I think it's still going to intensify some, but it's going to limit that ability to really intensify. Here is the 11 a.m. advisory, 11.9, 47 degrees west. Top winds are still at 40 miles an hour. It's moving to the west at 21 miles an hour. So there's that track, and it does call for an intensification of this system, but notice now the latest idea with this, and all the models are really suggesting this as well, this won't strengthen as much, so it stays a tropical storm, and then as it works its way into the Caribbean, that's where it really starts to encounter more of that stronger wind shear, and then you start to see more and more of that weakening as we head into the weekend and into next week. So looking at the different computer models, we're getting more and more of that consensus on that southerly track. You still have a few outliers going more towards the north. The models that take this more towards the north, those are the ones that are tending to keep this system a bit stronger. If it were to go a track like this, it would be a stronger system because it would not encounter that wind shear as early. But it does look like even if it goes to the north, it would eventually encounter wind shear. So here's the Fox model. What we're looking at here we have, this is Bret. This is the Invest 93, and then the contoured areas where you see these yellows and the reds, that is the stronger wind shear. Remember, these systems, they don't want to see that strong wind shear. That is a hostile environment. So as we go through the next couple of days, you see what's going on here. It's holding that wind shear just to the north, but as it works its way into the Caribbean, you see what's going on. You've got all this red shade. That is that much more hostile environment, the strong wind environment. So it looks like more of a west and a northwesterly wind shear over this system will likely weaken this system pretty rapidly as we head into the latter part of the weekend. And then you have that Invest, which will be working its way, it looks like kind of on a west-northwesterly track. And eventually it looks like it would encounter that wind shear as well, but pretty active this time of the year. Already talking about two systems, and we have this tropical storm working its way towards the Caribbean. So we're going to keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.